From the shores of Malibu where the waves are pumping, to the Great Wall of China where no one is jumping, and to the streets of Manchester, England where the UFC is coming. We are live. This is It's Time Radio, the show where we talk about what you think about, but maybe afraid to voice. Don't worry, we talk about it for you. It's No Holds Barred Radio, folks. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, UFC, film, politics, TV, and a little bit of wrestling. Why? Because we have the legendary, the man himself, the beast, the star of the WWE, the star of the WCW, the star of life. It's Bill Goldberg. Bill, how are you? I'm here with TJ, and thanks for coming on the show, my friend.
It's always an honor and a privilege to speak to you gentlemen. Are you kidding me? And I've got this wonderful killer cologne that somebody sent me yesterday, along with 2 cases of this nice pre-workout stuff, and I cannot thank him enough. So, Mr. Buffer, I really do appreciate it. My wife, I'm not the big cologne guy, but I sprayed this yesterday, and my wife walked in the kitchen and she thought that it was the cologne that she used to buy me. I don't know what name it is, but it's Wanda Goldberg approved.
I love it. I love it. And thank Wanda for me. That's very cool. She might be thinking of Calvin Klein's Obsession, which I used to wear all the
No,
time.
it starts with an L. I think it is. It's something off. It's something different. I'll find out. But she said it's drop dead. Like a copy of it. So
I love it. I love the fact. And thanks very much for the promo because that was pretty cool, actually, because it's honest, and I appreciate that. And that's one thing about the cologne, that I really enjoy is that women love it,
yes,
and they like to wear it too, which is
and that's
very
all that matters.
yeah, and it's not too overbearing. And the energy drink that comes out next month, Bill. You're one of the first ones to ever try it in the United States, but it's got so many natural qualities to it, and amino acids, vitamins, B12, whole coffee bean, green coffee beans, where the caffeine comes from. And I don't put the taurine in it, which is what. I'm sorry, I don't mean to put down other companies. I won't drink other energy drinks.
Yeah, see, I was going to say the same thing because I'm not an energy drink guy by any stretch of the imagination. Gage, my son, who plays at Colorado now, is home for the week, and he and his roommate, or he and one of his teammates, are here. And man, they're all over these energy drinks, and they tried it, they love it. I'm not an energy drink guy, so. But my question is, I'm about to get in the food space as far as, being a supplier, and I'm coming out with Goldberg's gummies, and we're doing creatine gummies, we're doing fruit and vegetable, and we're doing a pre-workout. And we're actually doing something really cool. I'm calling it a chummy. It's a pre-workout gummy that's chocolate, and it's freaking excellent. But my question was, I got 50 milligrams of caffeine in each gummy, right?
Right.
What's normal for an energy drink? Because I see guys pumping, taurine, all this different stuff in it, and then yours has 200 milligrams. Is that pretty much middle of the road? Is that
No, that's the actual limit you can have in a can here in the United States.
Okay.
And the other thing is that, listen, you and I, we've always taken care of ourselves. Supplements, whatever the case might be. I avoid any of the bullshit that people put in their bodies. It's not my thing. I like to consider myself completely natural. So with that being said, people overdo it. They think more is better, right? So they're downing, multiple energy drinks per day, and it's just not good for your body, Bill.
It's horrible. All the chemicals in it, it's amazing. And even if it's not chemicals, most of the stuff that they put in there is at such a high dosage. It's like you say, these kids are downing 2 or 3 of them a day, and it's just not good.
There's different tiers of energy drinks. Mine falls into like a 5% with the natural, that all the health benefits to it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The truck driver, with all respect to truck drivers, I'm just using that as a term.
Yeah.
They want to stay awake, and awake. But it's to me, less is more if it's quality.
Yeah,
not more.
100%.
So I will not market anything that I don't believe in. Congratulations on the gummies coming up. That's very cool. You gonna do CBD gummies at all or anything like that?
We're looking at it, no question. I'm originally going to come out with 3 products. I've had the time to try all 3 of them, which has delayed the launch. But after a month, or actually a month and a half of all 3 of them, I just absolutely love them. I mean, it's amazing. Not to mention they taste really good, but I think they work well.
Taste is key. If it doesn't taste good, no matter how good, people won't keep taking it. And
No
more
question.
importantly, as a representative of your product, as I am for mine, you want to be a product of the products. You got to talk from a point of believability. not just
Well,
any
yeah, they
exercise.
sent me the products 2 months ago, and the last thing I'm going to do is turn around and start professing that they're the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah,
Because like you said, our followers, the people that enjoy taking note of what we do daily, they are our followers because we tell them the truth, and
exactly,
we're
exactly.
close to the vest with everything we do. I don't put my name on anything. I've never touched a supplement as far as advertising is concerned back in the day. So I always waited to the opportunity for myself to put stuff out, and the biggest litmus test is me. Um,
Right.
because I'm not gonna
And
I'm not gonna profess anything that's not truly the case.
and that's a big litmus test too. What
Well,
are you
no
weighing now,
question,
Bill?
no
What?
question. I mean, let's be perfectly honest. If I didn't set the standard so high, then I wouldn't be who I am. So I
Exactly,
think we're all
exactly.
the same in that respect.
What are you weighing in now? You weighing at your wrestling fighting weight, or you?
Oh hell no, man! I'm 57 and I have taken like 5 years off. I literally had just been concentrating on our boy, man. We
Right.
moved out here to Texas in the middle of absolutely nowhere to get him into Texas football and to get him prepared to go to college somewhere. Fast forward to now, he's at the University of Colorado playing with my ex teammate as the head coach, Deion Sanders, and um,
Wow. Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's very cool.
yeah, kid works his ass off. He really does, and it's I mean, it's a deal to where I would put everything aside for him, 1,000%. Obviously, my wife too. But
Yeah.
so for the past 5 years, as you see behind me, I'm sitting in my gym, right? I don't spend much. I hadn't spent much time in this gym in the last 5 years because I don't want to get in his way. Um, at dinner, I don't want to eat. I don't want to get full because I know I'm taking food off his plate. So if we have five steaks, Wanda gets one and he gets three and a half because I'll just have half of one because I'm trying to build a monster here, right?
How
So
big a boy
the
is he?
I mean he's 6 foot, 225. He's good, is pretty damn good for 18 years old.
Yeah.
He's in great shape. The kid has been in Colorado for 2 months, under their strength and conditioning program, and hopefully he'll be ready for his first foray into Division 1 football here in about a week. So we'll see, man. All you can do is prepare him as much as humanly possible, and then
That,
hand it off and let him go do his thing.
that's it. That's a great father, mother, and that's good what you do. And then he's off to his journey, and he's got to make his journey work for him. You
Yeah, he
talk
doesn't
about
know that I got a lot of spies there, but it's all good.
that's all right. You got to take care of your boy. Watch his back at all times. This generation's a lot different than when we grew up, Bill. You know,
Boy, is that an under freaking statement, especially watching
understatement.
him and because we moved him into Colorado, so we went up there with him and we stayed the week just to make sure that everything was kosher. And it's a completely different landscape. I mean, he has 8 kids in his freshman class as opposed to the 35 or the 45 that you would normally have back in the day. There's this thing called the transfer portal that gets, juniors and seniors from around the league pretty much, or around the country, that are either disgruntled or they want to make a move, and you sign them basically as free agents, and so it takes all the scholarships away from the younger kids, and so it's a
Yeah,
it's a
I
different
know.
landscape.
Different landscape. And I was just talking to Kristen the other night. We were talking about, and another friend of mine, and we were talking about how, like, when I was 8 and 10, my brother and I would hop a bus and go down to downtown Philadelphia, have lunch, see a movie, the whole 9 yards. And you could never let your 8 and 10-year-old boys do that today.
No way. And I don't
Yeah,
even care where you live. It doesn't have to be Philly. It doesn't have to be Baltimore. It doesn't have to be Chicago. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a different landscape everywhere you are.
absolutely. So speaking of different landscape, I'm noticing when you're turning, your neck is a little stiff.
That is an absolute understatement, Mr. Buffer. Yeah, um, I think it's well documented that I used to headbutt doors, not only people but doors,
Yeah,
and before every match, and I think it's finally catching up to me. It provided great television,
right.
but it's now providing me with sleepless nights, and so that's leading on to our next conversation. Um, in a couple months, I'm going to head down to Colombia, and you're going there prior to myself, but we're gonna embark upon stem cells with BioAccelerator.
Exactly. And it's just I won't put any of the the crap in my body that a lot of people put in, living in the moment, I say, not thinking about what the future is going to behold.
Hmm.
But I've had PRP blood spinning, and I've had minor stem cell injections here because I can
Hmm.
only do so much in the United States. I've got cartilage deterioration in my shoulders and knees, and let's face it, we pay for what we do when we were younger. For me, it was surfing and martial arts my whole life, the fighting and surfing, and I'm paying for it now.
Oh
And
man, what an understatement. But you know what? I'll be honest with you, and depending upon. I mean, I was talking to Fry yesterday, right? I mean, talk about a person who's absolutely destroyed. I
destroyed.
mean, Don Fry. I did a movie with him 9 years ago, and he could barely even stand up straight at that point. And so
Yeah.
when I got hooked up with the bioaccelerator guys, he was the first guy that came to my mind. I picked up the phone, called him, and he'd already been. So it's great that they're doing this service for guys like myself and yourself. And the reality is we can get the word out like anybody, like nobody else can.
Right.
And I haven't seen one testimonial that was negative by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody that I've spoken to, whether it's Liddell or whether it's Rampage or whether it's
Yep.
Omar Avila, or whether it's DDP or Kevin Nash. I mean, everybody's gotten good results from it. So,
E- Exactly. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Colombia. I had the chance to go to Mexico. I'm no offense to the country of Mexico, but there's just something I'm not going to go down to Mexico. I've heard too many good things about Bioaccelerator from Liddell, now from you and others. And it's millions of stem cells. They got the hyperbolic chambers. They get all that. So it's going to be 5 days of it. They told me intensive, like 4 hours a day. The different treatments, and I'm looking forward to what the stem cell effect is. For both longevity and everything else. And we're talking about putting a natural substance in your body and hoping for the best.
I'm very much looking forward to it. And, I made the decision 2 days ago after my neck started bothering me again that's where I'm getting probably my first injection. I wasn't real jazzed about taking a needle in my neck,
Yeah,
but after what I've been through the last 24 hours, I probably got 10 minutes of sleep last night. I've got to do it. There's no question about it. I mean, if you're
yeah,
down there, you have to get it all done. I'm going to get my shoulder done, my knee done, and my neck, and do the a full spectrum stem cell treatment in the beginning. But they're going to do my knee and my neck and my shoulder. So, fingers crossed. And like I say, all the guys that I've spoken to, I positively revere every single one of them, whether they're peers or whether they're idols of mine. It's the circle that we run in, and it's there's no better people to entrust to telling you the truth about a process like this than them.
yeah. Biocellular is fine, and we'll both be doing social media posts so we can keep our followers and just publicize the fact of the benefits, and hopefully the United States adopts rules where people don't have to travel and they can start doing this stuff here to naturally fight and deal with longevity process and everything else. You
Yeah,
know,
that would be fantastic. It really would. It's just it'll open it up to so many more people that really need it.
Definitely.
They'll be
Well, you.
pissed off in Colombia, but we'll see.
That's all right. I don't mind missing the 9 hour flight or whatever it's going to be to get down there. But at the same time, I'm sure it's going to be an enjoyable experience for what it is. I'm looking
Most
forward to
definitely. And
that.
I've heard, from Dallas, he took his wife down, and a number of people have taken their significant other with them, and they had just the most wonderful time. And the one thing that I've heard more so than anything is the food is fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah. And we get to work out at the same time. They said we don't have to stop working out. We can train while we're there.
Yeah, see, that's the one question. That was actually the first question that I had to
Mine
them
too.
was that did you have to wait 3 weeks? Because I've heard that you had to abstain immediately afterwards, or it would reverse the effects or something. But I guess it's like the adage: you come out of surgery for your shoulder, and back in the day they didn't move it for X period of time. And right when I got out of my shoulder reconstruction, they started freaking range of motion immediately. So
Right.
things change.
Yeah. We're not talking about you don't want to go down there and push heavy weight, but you can work out. You can train and maintain it. So it's all good. So very cool. You'll come back bionic. I'll come back to whatever level I come back, and let's just enjoy life and keep moving forward as always. Speaking of life, one of the big passionate things you have going for yourself now is the Texas Garage and Car Collection and the show you have, Goldberg's Garage. Now, I noticed that this is on YouTube. Is it on TV that where you can watch it at key points?
You know, you and I didn't speak before this, but you really set that one up on a tee for me because we just as of this week have signed with CBS and Paramount Plus to get Goldberg's Garage back on
Yay!
normal television as opposed to the myopic YouTube space. So
Right.
yeah, I jumped on YouTube about 6 months ago to basically uh, I don't know my intent. I didn't jump on to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, though that would have been wonderful, right?
Sure.
I jumped on to kind of share my collection with everybody because you can only have so much fun keeping them to yourself. And I don't bring a lot of people here to the garage by any means. And we live in Texas on a 200-acre ranch, and the point of that is privacy. So it's my way of kind of sharing it with everybody else. And I like to take veterans out with me, and I like to do, you know, kind of off the wall stuff. And the truth be told, it for the past 6 months, it's been there to be a sizzle reel so I could get it back on television, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Well, when I was doing some of my research here, because I mean I love muscle cars, right? I've owned a couple. I don't have any now, but I'm looking now. You're talking about a '65 Shelby Cobra replica. I mean, come on, that car is so fast, and I remember reading people were killing themselves in that car because they weren't turning correctly, or it's just a muscle car, and
It's a
it
fucking
was
go
hard.
kart. That's
Pardon
all
me?
it is. It's a go kart.
Yeah, yeah, powerful go kart. The Dodge 330 you have, the 67 Shelby GT 500. Come on, it doesn't get much better than that. I don't know if you know it or not, but Steve McQueen, one of the legendary actors of all time, was a good friend of mine for the last 6 years of his life when I moved to
Oh
Malibu
wow.
when I was a kid. Son's still one of my best friends. And you can never beat the classic scene in Bullet, which changed race car or car chase scenes forever in film. And that was a I think a '67 regular Mustang. I forget
It
the
was a
exact
G.
year.
That was a '67 GTA or '68. I can't remember exactly, but you know, for me, that movie cemented itself in my legacy because the Charger was the chase vehicle.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that Charger was one of my favorite cars back then. But that scene, bar none, which he did a lot of his own driving in for most of it, was pretty incredible. I mean, you've got a 1970 Plymouth Barracuda, which has always been one of the coolest looking cars. This 1970 Boss Mustang. What kind of engine is that in that thing?
You know, there's a big story behind that. Bruce, do you want to hear
Go
the
for it.
that you could put every car together and they don't equal story wise or value wise what that one car means to me. Um, I was in Japan working for Hustle One, who also owned Pride, and I was there. I was guest commentating for LeBanner and Fry's fight,
Ouch.
and Noguera and Bob Sapp when
Ouch.
Sapp
Ouch.
famously power bombed Noguera.
Almost broke his neck.
Yeah, and God, what got me in that story? For God's sakes! Oh, the lawman. And I had this was January like 20 years ago, and I had seen a couple months prior back in the states a special on 60 Minutes about this said car that I ended up buying, and I had never heard of it before. Long story short, I get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. I sent a guy uh, to Barrett Jackson to pick up a '68 Yanko Camaro for me. It was a blue car that was up in Marina Del Rey,
Right.
and I was in Japan, so I couldn't purchase it. So right when that car, he purchased it for me, and right when that car was taken off the stage, they pulled this thing called the Lawman Mustang up there, and he said that they started it and it blew all the plants off the stage, and that's the car that I saw the special on, so I knew what that car was. Evidently, the current owners did not know what that car was because it was the Gas Monkey guys, and if it was, they would have kept the car, but I knew what it was. The car, there was a guy named Al Extran who was a corporate lawyer for Chrysler, and he was also a drag racer. He was racing those 330s like my Candy Matic car. And he had an idea. He was tired of the servicemen and women coming back from the war and killing themselves in these 450 horsepower 70 Cudas or whatever the hell it is. He took it upon himself to teach the servicemen and women how to drive. So they went to Vietnam and they set up the Ford Performance driving team. Chrysler didn't want to do it. He worked for Chrysler. He quit Chrysler, went to Ford, and they put this tour together. There were two Boss 429s. One was the parade car, and one was the car that would go over to Vietnam. Now, what's special about that car, getting back to that car, is that every Boss 429 was built with a 4-speed transmission.
Uh-huh.
So there were two of these that were taken straight from the factory to Carcraft, and they were converted before any miles were put on them. So there were two automatic Boss 429s in the history of the build, right?
Wow.
One of them got crushed. Mine was the only one left. Mine just so happens to be serial number 429 also.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's got 850 miles, original miles on the car. It was campaigned for a number of years in Vietnam, and it means a lot to me. When I lived out in Cali, I owned the car, and we lived near the front gate of Pendleton. And we'd get messages from the CO as far as when 200 to 500 people were coming back from service, and they all pull in the white buses, and I'm sitting out there in the parking lot with the lawman on a flatbed, and it's not announced, it's nothing. I just have it there for a reaction, and I have it there to show the men and women how much I appreciate what they've done, and to give them a little bit of red, white, and blue immediately when they step off that bus. And the coolest part about that is I met like 4 or 5 different guys that's fathers had pictures of them in that vehicle.
Wow.
In Vietnam.
Wow, that's interesting. It's such a coincidence. You're talking a 7-liter V8 engine with over 600 horsepower. That's just a monster. There's a couple.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that because it's very cool. I'm telling you, I'm seeing cars here that the '73 Super Duty Pontiac Firebird. I used to love that car, and what better car than the Chevrolet Camaro Z28? The classic 1970 Camaro. These are just classic cars.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And every car's, like I say on the channel, every car's got a story. I've got an eclectic collection. I mean, I'm a Mopar guy. I work for Dodge. I've done commercials for Dodge. I drive a lot of their new cars, but that doesn't pigeonhole me in just being a Dodge guy. Dodge is what got me into the business, got me into the fray. But I mean, I've got a '59 Chevy Biscayne that's one of the coolest cars in the world here, man. It's an old moonshine car, and it's a 4-speed 348 tri-barrel with 335 horsepower in 1959. I mean, it's just every car's got a story. Every car's here for a reason. The '73 Super Duty was my holy grail in the beginning. That's what I wanted more than anything.
It's like Rod Stewart said, every picture tells a story. There's a picture here that tells a story for me. I see the Dodge Charger we were talking about, but you had a '62 Ford Thunderbird. My parents used to own a '62 Ford Thunderbird. We were living in Philadelphia. I'll never forget one time we walked out, and this the beautiful bucket seats, 2-door car, coupe rather, if you call it. Somebody stole the seats out of the car.
No.
So we got the seats replaced. 4 weeks later, they stole the car.
Oh, shit.
It sucked.
Yeah, my grandmother had that car. We were on Leno's show with that car, my brother and I, and I remember driving it to high school, man. I mean, there's just so many memories and so many stories, and I think especially the fact that nowadays with this electric movement, you're buying cars with no soul. You're buying cars with no individuality. You're kind of buying a rubber stamped vehicle, and it's the day and age when cars mean so much to you, I think, is coming to an end.
I think so too, but there's so much coming out now, and has been out with the motors or the motors or whatever in the electrical cars that create all that electricity, how bad they are for the environment. So now we're going from how great it is to how bad it is to, who knows, it could be the end. I mean, what is it? Elon Musk has to move his headquarters and everything out of California. They're not going to be allowing the production. That's just a sign of the future to come. So I think the whole electric car movement, I'm sorry to say, is not going to get to the point where it was going to get to because of what's happening.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Allow me to say, I love my Tesla. I will drive a Tesla until I die.
Oh, I'm not
the
putting
greatest
it down.
car I've ever had, and everyone else should have one too.
But how do you feel?
No,
about,
not
how
a
do you feel
chance.
about
There's
the
no
pollution
way I'm
claim?
ever going to have an electric car. It doesn't, even if it has breasts on it, I'm not going to have one. Not a chance.
All right, I think enough said there. We know where Bill's love lies when it comes to cars. Bill, let's switch gears here for a second. And congratulations on the show. I think that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Thanks, buddy.
I had a fun time watching Leno's show. You know, the couple times that I've watched it, it was very, very cool. So the state of the WWE right now, you know, the stars in the WWE, the way it's running, Vince McMahon out, the other people in, it's pretty much as strong as it's ever been, isn't it?
You know what, Bruce? I'm the wrong guy to ask.
You don't pay
I
much
don't.
attention to it.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm not turning my back on everybody who appreciated what I did in the wrestling business. I'm just saying that right now I don't have the time to keep up on what's going on,
Right.
and I really don't have the desire. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't mean that I'm downplaying the support that I
No,
get
not at
from all the
all.
fans, but
Not at
I
all.
just I'm really not into it anymore. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't take. I've got so much stuff going on right now. I don't have time to figure out whether Roman Reigns is wrestling this weekend. You know.
Speaking of wrestling, one last question on that. I mean, are you a movie watcher?
Yeah, every once in a while for sure.
Did you see the Iron Claw movie that came out?
No, I didn't because they're my neighbors.
Oh, and that's why you didn't watch it?
Well, I just it's a weird deal, man. You know, television and movies. It's Hollywood is a different place.
Yeah.
And if I really want to know the real story, I'm going to ask them face to face.
That's
And
cool. That's fair. If you can do
you
that,
know,
why not?
I moved to where I live, and I think 3 years after we moved here, we heard the rumor that the Von Erichs were moving into town. And there are a few people that are going to make me excited about meeting them for the first time. But as a kid, I wasn't the biggest wrestling fan by any stretch. But Fritz Von Erich and the Von Erich family, I mean, I watched Texas Championship Wrestling every Saturday. They're the one of them and the Rhodes, the kind of the first families of wrestling.
Yes.
Not the first, but you know they were among the top, and that family has always been surrounded with. I don't know. I don't. You got
Like
to
a
get
curse.
the,
Like a
well,
curse.
a curse, but I mean, just strange details. And at the end of the day, in this society, if you want to know the truth, you got to go to the source. And
Nothing better than the horse's mouth, as they say.
100%. So,
Yeah.
and the great thing is, I got to tell you, the kids are great. The family's wonderful. They're exactly how I thought they were going to be, and we kind of see eye to eye. We have the same mentality when it comes to the business, and I was honored to know that you know they were only allowed to watch a couple different wrestlers in the last 10 years, and I was one of them,
That's cool.
and so that made me feel pretty good. So
That's very honorable. That's very, very cool. Are you
yeah,
watching UFC at all?
oh shit, yeah, I watch every weekend.
Yeah, big show coming up this weekend with Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. TJ, did you see that video of Leon jogging, or did you see the video where he's jogging and he kicks the basketball and you know from a over half court shot and it goes
Oh
right
yeah,
in the switch?
the fake one. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, you can't
Is
believe
that
anything
fake?
these days.
I don't know. My boys know fake from not fake, and they
Oh,
claim
that's
that wasn't
fake. That's fake.
Seriously?
Oh, it's fake.
Ah, that's a bummer. I thought what a great shot that was. Well, you know, if you want to hang, can you hang with us for a couple more minutes, and we'll let you go, Bill, before we go over the news and stuff.
Yeah, man. But you know, UFC. I'm waiting for Khalil Roundtree to come back. That's my big nugget, right? That is what I mean. Obviously, the John Jones thing and the Chimenev and Poatan, all these guys are big draws. But I truthfully, and it should tell you a lot about me. I cannot wait for Roundtree to get his ass back in that cage.
He's a beast.
He is now.
Yeah.
He is now. What he has done, that transformation that he did in Thailand, was literally unbelievable. And right now, I think he could possibly be one of the most dangerous strikers at the UFC or in MMA. Period. End of story.
We'll find out. You know, no matter how dangerous a striker you are, though, you got to be able to handle yourself when you go to the ground, so you don't wind
Oh
up
yeah,
being a turtle. Got to have that
absolutely.
sprawl, the whole 9 yards. You know, we're talking about big boys like Khalil. The Tom Aspinall Curtis Blades fight coming up for the interim championship. A lot of people consider Tom to be the champion with everything going on with John, and you know John will be back when he's back. But Tom Aspinall, I think, is an absolute beast. But Curtis Blade is not, right? TJ, that's not a walkthrough fight.
No, by no means.
Curtis Blades is terrifying. He's a terrifying individual.
Terrifying.
Yeah, and I
Terrifying.
mean the knock on him has been his chin, right? I mean, and we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Aspinall's gonna test it, no question. We're gonna find out once and for all about his chin. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a pushover by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
No, the one that I'm sort of wondering if it's going to happen. Dana's alluded to it. People have been pushing for it. The idea that we might see John Jones fight Alex Pereira. That's what I want. That's a dream.
That's yeah, that's the pinnacle. I mean, Aspinall would be great, but Pajeda, yes, 100%. But then again,
Let's see.
truthfully, when you compare the two, um, Poata better work on his freaking ground game and his sprawling because obviously John Jones is no joke
Yeah.
on the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
this dude is more terrifying on the ground than the stuff that he can come up with on his feet, I think.
Yeah,
He's
he's
an
an.
absolute goat, but the only thing getting in the way of that fight is Jake Paul fighting Poatan.
Oh, God almighty, please. If
How do you
I
feel
could have
about
gone
all
this
that?
entire podcast without hearing those two names.
Hey, Bill, he might be trying to pick a fight with you, Jake Paul. I mean, he's trying to pick a fight with every old time great. You know, no offense, but I don't understand his strategy.
Hey, I'm waiting for him to
Well,
call
you
me
don't.
out.
Come on, man. You understand the strategy more than anybody, right?
But it's
I
it's
mean,
it's not actually helping him. You know, it's just giving his critics and detractors more ammunition to be like, look, you're not a real boxer.
does Conor McGregor do everything to help himself, or does he do everything to help himself get out into the media?
That's true. You got me there.
I'm not even going to answer that question. I think it's an obvious answer.
Yeah, I do too. So I mean, it is. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, the first day he gets in there with somebody. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Tyson can go a couple minutes without. I don't know. I mean, look who Tyson's training with. For God's sakes, you know they're going to get him in shape, and if he's in shape, Jake Paul has absolutely no chance whatsoever. But I mean, people, stranger things have happened, and I wanted Mike Perry to kill him, but obviously Perry doesn't have the boxing skills by any stretch of the imagination, and that's obviously the knock, right? He's
Yeah.
picking people that are tough guys in their given profession, but they're not technical boxers. And Bruce, you know as well as I do, the sweet science is nothing to mess around with.
No.
I can have the training that I've had and get in there with a featherweight boxer and he could pick me apart.
He'll chew
And
you
I've been
up.
training Muay Thai for 15 years.
Let me ask you.
I'm good with my hands.
Let
but-
me ask you this, Bill. Do you think Mike Perry getting stopped by Jake Paul exposes bare knuckle boxing at all?
No, I don't
No.
think so. It's a completely different entity.
It's a different
And,
entity.
but it exposes it to the normal Joe, yes, because they don't have the knowledge and they don't look, beyond the surface to figure out really what's going on.
Right.
But I think for the people who know what's up, it's a completely different deal.
I agree with you because if we go back and look at Paulie Malignaggi and he couldn't beat Artem Lobov in bare knuckle boxing, that doesn't mean that bare knuckle boxing is better than traditional boxing either. I'm with you. I think they're two completely different things, but there could be a very big misconception to the average fight fan.
Well, there is no question because you see it right now, and that's what Jake Paul's gonna boost himself on is the fact that he beat Mike Perry and Mike Perry's a champion, and that doesn't matter. They're two separate things.
Let's not forget that he did get beat by a real boxer.
The only one he's fought.
The real boxer, that he fought. And kudos to Mike for being just an absolute tough machine. I hate that line, boy, you can take a punch, because all I think about is CTE and everything else goes with it. But, hands down, head up, that's not the way you fight a boxer. Right?
No, but you know what? And here, let's back up a second. Look how Mike Perry's transformed his career, not to mention his career, but his life, right? And hey man, I'm great for a human interest story.
Absolutely.
That to me is more valuable than talent, than anything in the world is the backstory, right? And to see Mike and where he was and where he is now, hey man, I'm just thankful as hell. And when it comes to, won't even talk about it. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I get where you're going. The other thing about Mike, and I like Mike, he's always been a stand-up guy to me. He's in there, ready to do his thing. But, he's made some good paychecks in bare knuckle. I mean, hopefully, to God, he made $2-3 million or more. I hope, and good for him on the money. I didn't like getting him, watching him take the shots he took, but he's bringing in the coin. And then afterwards, and tell me if I'm wrong, TJ, he had the Dirty Boxing, the promotion he's involved with, a hat on in his post presser for the bare knuckle boxing, and Connor was touting him and egging him on to win the fight previous the week, and then Connor came on social media and fired him from bare knuckle boxing the next day or that night or whatever the case might be. Am I correct in that?
I haven't seen all of that. I'd have to take
Well,
a
he
look.
said that he fired him, but does
Yeah.
he really have the ability to fire him?
Yeah, well, I know as part owner or whatever the case might be, but for Mike's sake, I hope that wasn't the case. Keep putting the bread on the table. Keep making it happen. Just
That
be
would be
safe.
an absolute travesty if he got fired from there because of the circus that he was involved in.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well,
And what I was going to say is that Jake Paul, I can say the most negative things in the world, and everybody else can. The true fight fan, I get it. But you have to admit that he's a good salesman.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, you choose the way you get from point A to point B.
yeah.
He's chosen this path, and you got to pat him on the back, whether you like it or not, because
I
he's been successful.
I I can't help but pat him on the back, whether I like him or not. We'll leave it at that.
Exactly. Hey, you think I like it? I hate it. I can't stand it. I think it's a mockery. Him fighting Mike Tyson is the biggest travesty in the history of the world.
I
Because unfortunately, these people that go on the internet now, and the bulk of the people in the world forget about history. And they go on what they see and pass judgment on that and move forward. They don't care about what happened in the past. Mike Tyson was one of the most devastating human beings on the planet.
That's
And
fair.
you wait till he's my age, 58 years old. It's all about timing. And they may be friends, and they may be setting this up, and it's a big payday, but it's a smear on the face of boxing. Something as traditional as boxing is, it just shows you where we are.
I can agree with Bill more, Buff, because think about this. Like, we can all agree that BJ Penn is one of the greatest of all time, correct? Can we?
Yes.
He looked terrible in his last few fights. And I understand that, sometimes we tarnish legacies, but the bottom line is what BJ looked like in his last few fights says nothing about what he was when he was in his prime.
No, but all these people now are passing judgment on what he looked like.
Right.
Just like me. Let's take me into consideration. I retired for 12 freaking years, right? And I came back for one reason and one reason only. I came back for my wonderful son to see what I did in real time. And I'm judged based upon my performance when I came back. And people don't even remember anything about what happened 13 years prior to that. I was
Exactly.
48 years old, 50 years old. And I came back for a different reason, and I took everything into consideration, and I knew what was going to happen. I'm down 20 pounds. You're older, and your injuries, and you're not as imposing. And hell, I forgot my walkout sequence, for God's sakes. But it's a shame. It truly is.
Hey,
And I
Bill.
see Mike going through the same thing right now.
Exactly. And you know, I just got to add this thing. I mean, I was going to WCW as managing my brother Michael Buffer, legendary announcer that he is, when WCW days when you were there, and you'd come out and do that grand entrance, put on an incredible performance, smiling at the crowd walking in. I remember I was backstage one time. People got to realize the injuries you guys deal with. And you're like this, and you walk through the curtain, and you go right to your knees because your knee is just either out or screwed up. I'll never forget that, and it's like, call it entertainment wrestling, call it whatever. We know it gets real at times, and and I don't mean to show any disrespect to that. I have so much respect for wrestlers. You're putting on 100+ shows a year, or God knows how many. What's the most number of shows you did in a year, Bill?
I was on the road 210 days my first year. It was crazy.
Crazy, and all that goes in, and the injuries and everything you work through, and I mean, I'll say it for you. You're a very adept fighter. You're Muay Thai trained. You're capable of doing it all. Don't take anything away from the wrestlers and what they do. Don't take anything away from them.
I appreciate it, and I think you're 1,000% right. You hit the nail on the head. The fact is that when you're in front of the camera, in front of the curtain, you have to play that person, that character, 1,000%.
Yep.
I blew my shoulder out when I came back. I went 5 years at WWE with a completely destroyed rotator cuff,
Oof.
and I hit it so well no one ever saw it, except for one night when I speared Brock with the left shoulder, which is not traditional for me.
Right.
And I came back, and Hunter looks at me and he goes, "Are you okay? uh, you speared him with the other side." And I'm like, "No, man, I'm good. I just want to even it out. Later in life, I'm going to get all the pressure here and all the bad stuff on my right side. I just, maybe want to give my left side I want to give the right side a break." Well, I did it because I had no rotator cuff.
Yeah.
But the fact is that yes, you have to put on a mask. You have to be an actor, and you can't show pain by any stretch of the imagination. And when you go behind the curtain, it's a completely different thing. And you've been there, for a long period of time, and you've seen as a fan, and you work at the UFC. You see these guys. I mean, they have to uphold a certain thing, and then when they get in the back, yeah, they turn into different people. But there's it's a tough dynamic. There's no doubt about it.
It's not show business, Bill. It's show biz, and I'm not a professional fighter, or professional wrestler, but in my own, everybody knows the story to a degree. One night before 3 UFCs in a row, I blew my ACL. I severed my ACL the night before. I had to do 3 shows on one leg,
Yep.
and that morning at an MRI, they said your ACL was severed. You've got 4 days of rest, ice, all that. I go 4 days of ice. I got to be in the octagon in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Now that's just my story. The show must go on. The bottom line. So we got to go out there and do our job. And for me, it's always, I'm not fighting. I'm not wrestling. You guys are putting your blood, sweat, and tears and your lives on the line. I can go out and do my job and get it done.
100%. But that's a mentality, right?
Yeah.
And no matter what your job was or is, you would go out and complete it. Period. End of story.
Well, speaking of that, UFC Abu Dhabi's coming up, and it came out yesterday that Nick Diaz, who we're all looking forward to coming back and fighting in the co-main event, backed out of the event because he realized now in Abu Dhabi he can't smoke pot. TJ,
You got to be kidding me. That's why he's out.
that's what's right. Back me up, TJ. That's what's being said here. Is that the full story, TJ? Because I can't understand. God love Nick and everybody on his team and everything, but don't you think that'd be one of the questions you would ask going to a country like Abu Dhabi? Or
I don't know if that's the whole reason, Buff. I mean, the internet again runs crazy, but yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate he's not fighting.
Oh yeah,
but at this point, it's kind of what we talked about. Nick's a legend. Nick doesn't need to fight. I mean, maybe he wants to make money, and God bless him if he wants to make money. But like both him and his brother, they've done so much for fighting and have other means of income. If he's not fighting, I mean, he should be only competing on his terms at this point. And if those aren't his terms, then don't fight.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. The Diaz brothers, and I remember them fondly at all the events, are 2 of the nicest kids there are.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
They are 2 of the nicest kids. I've gotten nothing but yes, sir, and no, sir from them. Nothing but ultimate respect. They play a character.
They play a character, Bill, but in high school when the kids would give the parties and when their parents are out of town and everybody's inside and you hear the Diaz brothers just came through the door, you know that the shit's going to come down at some point later that evening.
Here's the thing. I would probably not put myself in a situation to roll with Nick and Nate Diaz's crew on a Saturday night. However, if either of those guys were to come to my house, they would be nothing but gentlemen.
Nothing
because
but
that's
polite.
who they are.
Nothing but polite. No. I talked to Nate before and after his fight. I did a special voiceover for him, calling him the one and only as he walked out, which he deserves. And just as polite can be. So, power to them. Speaking about another athlete that backed out, the Japanese gymnast Shoko Miyata, she's withdrawn for the Olympic Games after smoking and drinking alcohol. So I guess everybody's got their little thing. And did you hear this story, guys? We're getting a little into newsworthy here. 13 Brazilian sharks have tested positive for cocaine.
I've heard this. I heard that.
But does that? First of all, who's drug testing sharks? Number one.
True.
And second of all, does that surprise you with all the bales of drugs that are probably dropped in the ocean?
No, not at all. It just disgusts me.
Honestly, it surprises me more that anybody's drug testing sharks than that they would test positive.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. And one little thing here, Bill, do you buy lottery tickets?
No.
I mean, for the people that do out there, I mean, listen, when it gets to 1 billion, I'll for shite and giggles, I'll buy a few and see what happens. Which obviously nothing's happened. But this one Tennessee man learned that he was the winner of $1 million jackpot when detectives called him to tell him his ticket was stolen. You know what he did? He handed his ticket to the store clerk to check. The store clerk saw that it was $1 million winner, put it aside, and gave him back a no-winning ticket.
This happens
Oh,
all the
God.
time. This happens
Yeah.
all the time. Like, if you're going
Check
to
your own
take
tickets, people.
right, if you're going to take the time to buy the damn ticket, check the ticket yourself. I don't understand.
Take a photo of it or something at least.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people, they sign their tickets. Even if they don't win, they just sign the back of their ticket because that's what you have to do to claim the ticket as yours. So
Right.
as soon as they buy it, they just sign the back of it, and then there's no questions asked.
And then someone could steal it and then just hand it in with their signature on it.
Probably. You're right. The lottery is a scam. I don't go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Getting back to one thing on the UFC, they're removing the 12-6 elbow.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that today. What do you think about that?
Well, it's kind of similar to when they removed the headbutt. I mean, it is a devastating blow. There's no question. I do love it. There's no question about that. But
It's dangerous.
it's dangerous.
There's
Let's
no
just
such
face
thing
it.
as a 12-6 elbow.
Pardon me?
So they're going the opposite way, guys. They're allowing 12-6 elbows. You're
I thought
allowed
it was
to do it.
removing.
No,
No, they're allowing it.
Yeah, the move was always banned, but
Yeah.
like,
Wait,
look,
I'm sorry. Yes,
look,
but it is
look,
a devastating
the-
blow.
But there's no
Yeah.
there's no such thing as a 12-6 elbow.
So
John
why do
McCarthy John McCarthy explains it like this: it has to be a perfect circle. It can't really be drawn. There's always some sort of arc. Whether it's to the side, you're throwing it to the side. To like do a 12-6 elbow straight up and down is like a truck driver pulling the horn. And when
Yeah.
you do that, there's basically no power that can be done because to do any sort of power, you have to put some sort of arc. I'm
That's
happy they're
bullshit.
removing
You
it.
never watched Bak?
There's always an arc. There's always an arc, man. Always.
There's always an arc. That's true. That's true.
But
They're
if
still
you're in
devastating.
Mount and you drive a frickin' elbow straight from 12, I mean, you cannot tell
No,
me
but you just did it, Bill. You went like this, 12-6 elbow. There's arc there. Once it's here, we're talking a 9-3 down to a 6. There's no such
technically
thing.
you are correct.
That's where the
And this?
variation is. 100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So to me, I'm happy that they're getting rid of because John Jones has a loss only because of this rule.
Yeah.
And it was a stupid rule, so I'm happy
Okay,
it's gone.
John Jones lost because they're removing it or putting it in.
No, because it was
No, because it wasn't legal.
Yeah. When he basically had Matt Hamill done, was in mount, threw a 12-6 elbow, which wasn't 12-6. Steve Mazzagatti steps in and then says, "Hey, fight's over." But it shouldn't have been because, first off, the illegal elbow had nothing to do with the stoppage of the fight. Hamill was pretty much done before then.
Right.
But also, too, again, there's always an arc.
Got it. Well, all I know is one thing, especially in street fights. Elbows have always been my favorite. I mean, it's just a devastating blow.
Yes, sir.
I mean, nobody should be throwing punches in a street fight. All you're going to do is break your hand.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No,
Headbutts
getting
and
close.
elbows and knees.
Yep.
Elbows just can stop it very, very, very quick. There's no
Palm
question.
strikes. If you
Palm
guys throw
strikes.
punches, palm strikes.
You
I
do
don't
it
know if
correctly.
I'd ever hit anyone with a palm strike just out of reaction. But
Out of reaction, I throw a fist.
exactly. That's just me.
Totally.
Ask
Hey,
Steiner.
Definitely. Hey, Bill, your collectibles, they sell well?
My collectibles. You mean like my action figure stuff and
Yeah,
stuff like that?
no, like you see signed collectibles of you? Do you have like your belts? Do you ever sell any of that stuff?
Personally, no.
Hold
No,
on.
I don't. I mean, I'm going to actually what I'm going to start doing is I've got like collections of old wrestling stuff, whether it be memorabilia right when I broke in. And I did the Hogan thing. Anything that had my name on it or my picture on it, I bought 10 of them. Or I got 10 of them from the manufacturer when they came out. So, and I got probably 500 old wrestling magazines. And so they're not doing me any good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a page and I'm just going to sign all this stuff. And
Yeah.
there's got to be people out there that would revere this. And
Oh,
I've just
there's
got
no
it
doubt
in
to be-
boxes.
There are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
And if you need a
well-
name of a guy that can help set that all up for you, just text me and I'll send you the name of the guy who can help you with all that.
I need him. 100%. Because again, it does me no good, and it could. There's a collector, Goldberg Peru. This dude has every single thing that's ever been out with my name and or likeness on it.
Wow.
And guys like that, people like that, you can't turn your back on them because I've got all this stuff, and I mean they'd be over the moon to acquire it. And for me, it's just kind of, I don't want to say it's trash, but it's it doesn't mean the same to me as it does to them.
I just texted you a guy named Tyler Feldman out of Inscriptographs in Las Vegas. He handles stuff from Mayweather, Tyson to myself, my brother, whatever. Give him a
Thank
call
you.
and tell him what you want to do, and he'll work with you, I'm pretty sure.
You're the man. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Yeah, Kobe Bryant's Staples Center locker from Staples Center is hitting the
Yeah.
auction block, the wooden locker.
Yeah.
How much do you think it's going to
Wow.
go for?
Good Jesus. I mean, God only knows. $500,000 maybe?
Over $1 million.
Yeah, I was
Over
gonna
$1
say
million?
Over $1 million.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, but there's people out there that are absolute fanatics, and
Totally.
more power to them because they put money in our pocket and give us the ability to earn a living. So
Absolutely. And speaking of earning a living, these gamers and these esports, these video game players,
yeah,
I just turned down because I don't have the time to get over to Paris to do this. It's wonderful they offered me the chance, and a very nice offer. But the Esports World Cup that's happening, one of the things over there in October, but they're putting on one now, $60 million prize pool for video gamers.
Oh my
$60
God.
million prize pool.
Yeah, I remember, Buff, when we talked about the first Fortnite tournament that was over 7 figures. It's crazy what that industry is sort of raised. And, I don't know about you guys. I mean, we all grew up in different times, but, kids now love to watch others play video games. When I was growing up, we got into fistfights over not being able to all play together. I wasn't watching any of my friends play video games, but now it's a whole spectator sport.
Yeah, I don't get it. What's the value of watching someone play a game? I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what? Then you might ask, what's the value of watching people play poker, which I love to do, but people love watching people play poker,
That's another.
But
weird
that's
one for me.
different.
That's a weird one for me.
Poker's quick and it's immediate gratification, right?
Yeah.
A video game is. I mean, I've got a great simulator set up right now. I mean, a really nice one. And these guys get on and they get on and they do iRacing. And I'm telling you, they're as competitive as can be. I just don't. I mean, I get it, but I don't. Why would I go in there and watch someone do it? Go in there and participate. I get it, but
Bill, you can watch me. I made the final table of the World Series about 5-6 weeks ago.
nice. I'll be watching.
Yeah, it was
Let
a
me
big
know.
event, the $50,000 high roller event. It was a very. I finished 8th at the final table, but I wanted that bracelet really bad.
You know what? I might have been invited. Was that a celebrity deal or was that just a professional
No,
poker
it was
deal?
playing. It was playing all the top professional poker players in the world.
Jesus. Well, there was a celebrity deal that they just invited me out at in Vegas.
Those are fun.
And I can't do it because I can't play poker. I don't know how to play poker.
Oh, I'll teach you, Bill. Just bring 5,000 over to my house. We'll
Don't
sit at
do
my
it,
table.
Bill.
Exactly.
Don't
Not
do
gonna
it.
happen.
All right,
Blackjack.
guys, we got an interesting next 3.5 months coming up with the election. Biden has backed out as we resigned from running from for the presidential race, which we've all heard about. Kamala Harris is up there. Trump, moving forward. Not commenting, not asking for opinion who you're voting for, Bill, but it's going to be very interesting to see what unfolds over the next 3.5 months.
Things have, everything's changed exponentially. And it's amazing to know that the person that was the host of the Celebrity Apprentice when I was on it was the president of the United States a number of years ago, and most likely will be the president again. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's an absolutely unbelievable time that we're living in.
Can I just say I'm looking forward to the day it's over again, so we can just try to move back on with our lives.
What's over?
Yeah,
This
well,
thing's going to
that's
continue from
That's
now until
true.
the end of time.
I just wish. I mean, I don't know. I miss the days when I was a kid and politics were boring, guys. I really do.
Well, yeah, and things were logical, and we had
Yeah.
good people to choose from.
Yeah.
Enough said there, Bill. Enough said there. All right, Bill, thanks very much for your enjoyment of my time. Got more coming out, Bill. We'll be getting more supplies. Got the toiletries working.
I
I'm
can't
the-
thank you enough.
I'm the only one who smells bad and doesn't have any energy. This sucks.
I thought you got some cologne, TJ.
No, you need to send it to me.
All right, I know. How long have I been saying that? Okay, we'll take care of that.
Also, shoot me y'all's address so that I can get you the gummies out and the chummies.
I'm excited for Chummies.
The scum. I'll shoot you my address on the text I just sent you. All right,
Thanks,
Bill,
bud.
we're going to sign off. Anything you want to tell the audience? Of course, we all know, Bill Goldberg's Garage coming to CBS and Paramount. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say except for treat people how you want to be treated. That's all.
What do I say at the end of every show? Thank you, Bill. Treat people with respect. Be a role model to your sphere of influence. Treat people the way you want to be treated. It's just that friggin' simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Man, I
Got
just think the world would operate better if everyone thought they were talking to Bill Goldberg, because if they got on a line, Bill Goldberg might kick him in the butt, and people would be a lot nicer.
I think it would, and I would take that. I take that title, and I would be very proud to display it for sure. But
If-
yeah, it's a weird life. I mean, but we're old and it's cyclical, right? Our parents said the same thing, and our
Right.
parents, it's the same kind of deal. It all comes around, but I'd say we're dealing with something completely different than what they had to deal with.
Every generation says the next generation is completely effed, but I feel like we're the first to actually be 100% right.
Exactly.
I resemble that remark. Absolutely. Bill,
No, you don't.
I'm 67 now. Be nice to your elders. All good.
100%. Love you guys. Thank you very much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Love
Thanks,
you. Michael
Bill.
says hi, by the way.
Please give him my best. Please give him a hug for me. I love that man just as much as I love my family, just like you, man. So we had some great times back in the day, and I will never forget them. And it gave me the opportunity to befriend you wonderful gentlemen, and I have valued that relationship ever since.
Thank you very much for that, Bill. And on one last note, I want to thank you for the night that you met my mother, my beloved, beautiful mother, Mom Connie Buffer, who passed away right before Christmas. You were so nice to her, and she was so excited to meet you. And I just want to thank you very much for that.
Honor and a privilege, man. Honor and a privilege. You do the same thing because I know the person that you are.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All the best,
Love you
Bill.
guys.
You ever
Yes,
need
sir.
anything, I'm in your corner as always.
100%. You too. And I promise that the next time I see you at an event, I will not airplane spin you.
I forgot about that. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Gets my blood flowing for the event. You do whatever you need to do, Bill. I'm game.
You wanted to kill me, man. Between rear naked choking Matt Serra and then airplane spinning you within 10-minute period of time, I had a great time.
I actually enjoyed it myself, Bill. It's all good. No worries. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
I
I'll take a
appreciate
bump
it.
from you any day, buddy.
You're the man. Ditto. Love you guys. Any time you need anything from me, I'm right at the end of the phone call.